What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the GWOT Goons show. I'm your host, Jeremy. Today, I have the honor and privilege with interviewing one of my special friends. His name is Shawn Romine. He was a team leader in Afghanistan when I was there, and he has multiple combat deployments in the GWOT. I'm very excited to do this interview. Everybody's so happy that I'm going to have him on, and let's get into it. Shawn Romine.
What's up, man?
How you doing today?
It's good, man. It's Saturday. You always can be happy about Saturday.
Yeah. So this is Shawn Romine, 3 combat tours, 1 to Iraq, 2 to Afghanistan. He's an infantryman. He's got his air assault badge. He's got a couple ARCOMs, a couple AAMs. I met him when he was a team leader at 136, and it's an honor to speak with you today, dude.
I appreciate it, man. Well, I mean, saying goes to you too, brother, for doing all this, man.
Yeah, I kind of talked to you a little bit about it. I really want to get into the grunts, just the infantry guys, the conventional dudes, and I know there's plenty of podcasts out there about Special Forces, Rangers, and Navy SEALs, but you guys are some of the greatest warriors I've ever known, and there's nothing I wouldn't do for any of y'all. I love y'all so much, dude. And so let's get into it a little bit, man. How old were you when? Now let's back up. How was your childhood when you were growing up?
Well, my childhood wasn't the greatest. I had a hard childhood. Mom and dad. It was rough, man. We were there was 4 of us as kids, and it was just tough for my dad to try to maintain the money around the house. And I mean, hell, at that time I didn't know what it was, but now that I know, my mom was a hoarder, so I was living in filth, kind of. Right. And I mean, it's like any other infantryman's story, man. Yeah. It's not like I've been spoon fed. It was a pretty tough lot when I was growing up, man. It was bad just dealing with that, and then we used to. We would rent from a place, and then they get the rent so high, and then we would move to another rent house, and then it was just nuts. And then I finally when I hit high school, my senior year, going in finishing junior, going on my senior year, I kind of just said I'm done with it, because they woke me up in the middle of the night. I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" They're like, "Oh, we're leaving." I'm like, no, I'm good. So I packed up like 2 bags of my stuff, man, and went to my buddy's house. And then basically, at that time I was working construction and going to high school at the same time. And so I was paying my buddies like $80 a month, but I mean, they let me live there. And, after that, my buddy kind of had to basically kick me out because, his dad was tired of it. So I kind of, I was homeless, man. I didn't have anywhere to go. And, I went to a church. I was religious, but I didn't exercise my faith that much. But, I went
you weren't practicing it, huh?
No, yeah. I wasn't practicing as much as I should. But, I went to a church for help, man. And I had 2 families that took care of me when I went my senior year. I still helped out with groceries. I paid them. They were blessed families, man. They helped me out. And then basically, when I graduated, they basically, I graduated in May, and then I went to basic training in June.
So, yeah, hold on. So do you still, who tried to wake you up in the middle of the night that y'all were leaving? Was that your parents or what?
Yeah, that was my mom.
What happened? They were y'all just getting kicked out of the house or what?
Yeah, they couldn't pay the rent. They like to get the rent up so high.
Yeah, you have a typical infantryman's story. I always ask people, I'm like, hey, like, did you have a hard life like this too? Because if you think about it, everybody has the same kind of beginning,
Yeah, I mean, yes, any infantryman, they, most of them will tell you, like, we didn't have like a pleasant childhood. I mean, the hardcore of us, man, it's just, yeah. But
So the family that kind of took you in, you said there was like two of them, right? Or no, in the
yeah,
church?
there's two separate families
Yeah. Do you
that
still
took
talk to
me
them
in.
or no?
That's one of the things I regret, but no.
Okay.
Yeah, I kind
And
of
is
lost
there a
touch.
reason like you just fell off when you joined the military or what?
I think I was just because they had kids and I was real, I was kind of like a big brother to them, and it was kind of like I wasn't the same person.
R-
Because I stopped touching bases with them after my first deployment, and it was just like I don't know, man. I just stopped. It was one of the things I regret was not talking with them and touching base with them. It's just I felt like I was everything that I seen. I wasn't that same Shawn that they knew. And
Yeah.
I was kind of like, instead of just dealing with it, I just said, and I was still young at that age, man. I was still like, uh,
Like
early
17, 18.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, I know how hard. I mean, look at us, dude. I mean, I haven't talked to you. I talked to you for the first time in like 12 years
I
this
know.
week. It's just, and I was talking to Sergeant Lawson, and he was like, life just lifes, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, there's really we kind of just go our separate ways and stuff, but we talk, and it's kind of just like we pick back up and we joke around about stupid things. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you could find them, and then talk to them. You know what I mean? I mean, since you regret it, don't try not to talk to them.
It's one of the things I'm going to be, on my list to take care of. But right now I'm kind of focused on other things. But it's number one on my list just to tell them thank you. Because
Yeah,
without them, I probably wouldn't have made it. Yeah, they just the father figure for both sides of the family were a good. I didn't really have a good mentor. My dad,
yeah,
your father figure is the one that's supposed to instill values with you and be the dad that he's supposed to be, and I didn't really have that, so I kind of got it from those two families. So and it helped me out, getting me a little bit prepared for.
how was school, dude? Were you like a big student, or you were just like,
I
nah, I
was
hate school?
I'll be honest with you, man. When I got to high school, I was I was kind of like with everything with my family going on. I was dating Nicole and
Yeah,
my girlfriend at the time. I didn't really give a shit about school. I mean, I was just like just chugging along, and at that age, high school, you think high school's everything, So,
yeah.
but I mean, school, I was kind of like they called me Buffman number 2 because I was always in the gym working out. Yeah, I was a meathead, man, and at that time I didn't know how to fight, so I got big when I was in middle school, and I just thought because I got bit, working out and everything from watching when I watched Dragon Ball Z, the
Freaking
childhood
Goku.
that I have, when I was watching Toonami on Cartoon Network, I saw Dragon Ball Z. Damn, I want to get that big, dude. So I started going to the gym, I went to the gym by myself. I didn't have anybody,
Yeah,
teaching me what to do and stuff. I kind of learned just from other people, man. So I got big in high school, and they were calling me, Buffman number 2, and I was kind of
yeah.
popular, but I
I,
wasn't really a straight A student.
yeah, I remember working out with you one time in Afghanistan. It kind of sucked. So it's like right
Yeah,
when I got to the platoon, we were in Kandahar, and almost
yeah, I remember
dislocated
because
my
I was
fucking.
like, you, like yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but yeah, it was fun, man. I like that. That's how I
yeah,
relieve stress is working
yeah,
out.
yeah.
So
Me too. I mean, I gained some weight getting out of the army. It's kind of hard at first, and I don't think a lot of people that understand that. But
yeah.
I had to take control of my life, and this year I started getting back on the horse. So
No, oh yeah,
uh,
man. I just, I used to be all into it, and now I just do like just a lot of strength training, just
yeah,
heavyweight strength
you look kind of
training.
small though.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Eh,
hey, man, that's what happens when you have a kid, but every chance I get, I'll just go to the gym. But like it's, like you said,
life.
it's hard sometimes, man, especially when you start getting older,
Yeah.
and but
So when you were at the church and you turned 18 years old, you graduated in May.
Yeah.
When did you start seeing an Army recruiter, or did you think of a different branch, or you're like, screw it, I'm gonna go to the
Oh,
Army?
so my uncle, who's he was in Air Force back in the or I don't know, he did 4 years. It was back in the Vietnam War. 4 years Air Force. Didn't really, I always give him shit for not doing anything, but he's the one that took me to the recruiting station, because he found out what was going on with me, and
Yeah.
we went to the recruiting station. And he was like, yeah, Shawn, what do you want to do, man? Because I was like, high school is about to end, Jim or Uncle Jim. I don't know what I'm going to do, man. He's like, well, I'm going to take you to the recruiter station, see what you like, and, see what you think about it. I'm like, okay, all right. And he's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, well, I don't want to get shot at. I just want to, work with my hands like a mechanic. I was like, okay. So we'll talk to the recruiter. So I was like, all right. So I took this pre-ASVAB thing just to see like how smart I was. A meathead. So they got my score and they're like, you know what? My recruiter was Sergeant Patton at that time, man. He's like, you know what, man? Let me show you this videotape. He slips this videotape in, and it's just all of a sudden I hear Metallica playing, and like guys jumping out of planes with weapons and stuff, and like, and shooting. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, dude. He's like, yeah. He's like holding an apple in front of an ape, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. So I was like, yeah, I want to do that. So he's like, study up on your ASVAB and then retake it and all that stuff. So, after I got done talking with him, my Uncle Jim, my uncle was like, what did you end up wanting to do? And I was like, well, infantry. He's like, Shawn, it's shooting. You're going to be, I was like, oh, it is? I was like, at that time, I mean, I wasn't a very bright, I was a meathead, man, like a brick, a stump, nicknames like that. So I was like, when I found out about it, I was like, oh, man. The fuck did I just do? Because they're like tricksters, man, those recruiters, because they're like, yeah, look at this, and like boom, 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 and then next thing you know, you're going on a bus going to basic training. But I just throughout the Army, man, I love being in the infantry, and I think it's the most awesome MOS out there, man.
Yeah. Did you take the ASVAB again? So for people that don't know, the ASVAB is the entry level test to get into the military. When I got in, the minimum score was 35, and I don't know what it was when you were, because this was 2008, right? When you took it. So we're a little bit after the invasion, and we're a little bit after the surge. So I think the Army's making a big push in Afghanistan around this time. So,
yeah.
So they were like, hey, we're just going to try to take you, or you have to take it again? Did you have to get a waiver?
No, I just, when I felt it the first time, I wasn't really serious about it until high school started getting closer to ending. And I was like, man, I got nothing left. So I studied up for a week and retook it. And then, I chose, I forgot how everything went. It's been so long, but, out of all of it, I was 11 Bravo, basically showing up to the Met station and at a certain date and getting ready to go to Fort Benning, Georgia.
Hey, so when you joined, was there only 2 11 series? Because I know when I joined, it was 11 Bravo, which is infantryman, and then there's 11 Charlie, which is the mortar infantry dude.
No, they had that.
Did they have 11 Mike and all that stuff too, or no?
Like I said, man, it was a while back ago. But I know that they had 11 Bravo, and if during basic, you could
volunteer.
You could switch to 11 Charlie, but I know we had 11 Charlie and 11 Bravos. But like, I mean, I have no clue, brother. Like I said, it's everything's like a jumble to me now.
Right. So, do you remember basic training at all? Like, what was your first thought? Like, hey, this is my first brotherhood,
Yeah, my first thought. So when you get to basic training in Fort Benning, Georgia, it was called 38th AG, and basically you spend like a week just getting everything that you need to go downrange. So downrange is basically you're in basic training. You got drill sergeants yelling at you left and right. So once I got We had so when we got down, or before we got down range, we had one phone call because they don't really let you call your family that much because they want you in the mindset, when you're in basic training. But they gave us one phone call to call your family, and I took it to call my girlfriend at the time, Nicole, just like, hey, I'm here, I'm okay, that's it, man. But there's some guys that just were balling, like calling their moms and shit, and I didn't really have a relationship like that, but I'm just sitting there. I just remember, like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, what are you talking? Drill sergeant's like, oh, get out, like, and it was just funny. I mean, I know it's bad to say that, but it was just hilarious because then it was funny. Like, at least I'm not that guy crying, just in a better state.
I literally cried the day before.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I had, man, I'll be honest with you, the only thing I had was my girlfriend, and yeah, it sucked, but we had that connection to where it was like, yeah,
it's something you had to do, right? Like you had to do for y'all.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, infantry, there's no infantry AIT. There's just 4 straight months, I think, of basic training, and then
14 weeks straight.
Yeah, 14 weeks straight of infantry shit. So, like me, I had to go to AIT, which is Advanced Individual Training. It was at Fort Sam, and I had 4 months of medical school. So you make it through basic training. You're like, hey, I'm pretty sure they told you, like, hey, you're gonna go to war.
Honestly, man, they didn't tell us that. They
didn't tell you?
No, I mean, yeah, they told us a little bit, but we didn't think it was going to happen like as soon as we got to our unit. We kind of just like spent 12 days with our family, and then we got orders to go to I had orders to go to Fort Campbell.
Yeah. So what was it like when you got your orders to Fort Campbell? Because I mean, I know infantry dudes are like, yo, I want to go fucking 82nd, 101st. I want to go.
For me personally, I just it sucked because I wasn't going to be with Nicole,
right?
But it's something different. I lived in Texas all my life, so going to Fort Campbell, Kentucky was, kind of like excited, nervous, so it was a different state, different people, but I was mainly just, not wanting to mess up going to my new unit, so when you show up on time, I didn't want to beat that guy. Like there were some guys that showed up late, man. I was like, what? Like they got their asses smoked, and I'm like, man, I was like I said, at least I'm not that guy. That's all. That's how I played the game, man. I just looked at other people getting smoked, and I'm like, that's cool. At least I'm not that guy.
It's smoked. We're not talking about beat up or anything. We're talking about they're getting their ass worked out a lot, real bad. So, you're this when you get to Campbell, this is around like what, August, September?
2008? Yeah, it was like October-ish, I think.
We're talking about 2008 still, right?
Yeah. So no, 2006.
2006. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're right in the surge.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good. So it's around like August 2006. Sorry. So for everybody at the backtrack, the surge was around this time. So you get to your unit around August, September. When do you first know that you're going to Iraq?
As soon as I get to my unit, they're literally telling us like, hey, because I was figuring out from all the other guys that had been there with the unit, because they were just getting back from deployment. They've been back about quarter of a year, like 120 days, because they had that family time, when you get back to the deployment, and then they start training. Well, I was the lucky few to get into a unit when that happened, because they're all looking at us like we're fresh meat. We don't know anything, but I learned real quick that we were deploying that at the end of that year. So, or end of that year, beginning of that year, like January, kind of February-ish.
January 07, yeah. So
they were, yeah.
Damn. NTC, did you go to NTC or anything, or y'all were just like?
No, my first deployment. Like I said, I got there. I got to the unit to the point. Or basically, their finishing up training and they were about to deploy. So like I got, some training with them and then I deployed to Iraq, you know what I'm saying? So I didn't get to go any of those special NTC or JRTC, which is what Fort Campbell did was JRTC up in Louisiana. But no, I got, like I said, it was hard for me to, it's hard to gain the respect of people when they look at you like, you don't know anything. You're just a Joe. You're just a private, a freshman.
Joe.
Yeah.
A cherry.
So I was getting smoked, dude, because I'm a meathead too. So I was getting, doing a lot of exercises, man, because I was hard headed at the time, and it didn't really help me a lot when you're hard headed. But
yeah,
man, it like I said, it's hard because you're a brand new private, and those guys, they just got back from the deployment, and they seen it. Iraq at that time, because they pulled, I think, towards the end of their deployment, they were pulling security for Saddam's trial, and they seen, just looking at it, man, you could tell that they seen some shit.
Yeah.
And, they looked at me like I was like, "Oh, you piece of shit!"
You haven't done shit. You haven't done shit.
Yeah, I know. That's what they do, man. But
that's part of the culture, though, dude. Like, it's part of the culture. I remember when I got there to Fort Bliss, they're like, "You're just a fucking brand new medic. You haven't done nothing." And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I know, I know, dude, but it's just part of the culture, Yeah. Did you ever have that mindset though at one point or no?
Just that it was
like, hey, like you get new Joes and you're like, hey, you don't know nothing. Stop arguing with me.
I think I had a little bit of that, but I didn't really just with me. I kind of, I had it when after my first deployment and going on my second, coming back, I was like, yeah, these new guys. But like when I became an NCO, a sergeant, it was kind of a different mindset, like, okay, instead of thinking like that, I'm thinking like, as an NCO, like, this guy's new, he doesn't know shit. Does he have, does he take initiative, or does he just stand there waiting to be told to do something? Like, how is this, like that's what I was thinking, and,
yeah.
But, in a different, with just, guys that weren't in a leadership position, it was kind of like the mindset, like, like, here's my back, bitch, So, I mean, I did have that a little bit, but I didn't really press it. I was just like, so you're the new guy? Like, yeah. I'm like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah, you did that to me too. You were really nice though. I'll give it to you.
I was through that shit, dude, where they, I went through a lot of hate. Like, I was smoked in the mud for like 3-4 hours because the dude didn't like me because I was a meathead. I mean, I was like, fuck it. I was just too stupid to give up.
Right. Hey, so NCO is non-commissioned officer. That's the enlisted ranks that we go when we start being leaders. So your first deployment to Iraq, what was it like? Like when you get there, like, hey, you guys, you've heard, hey, the Saddam Hussein, like these guys that were in the invasion and stuff. Like, what was your mindset going through when you were going to Iraq?
I was, like I said, I didn't know what to expect. I trusted in my leadership. I had real good leadership. I had a good squad leader. I had a good team leader. But be honest with you, man. Iraq, we were going. When we deployed to Iraq, it was basically the phase where they were basically giving the country back to the people, and basically, instead of us being in the front, they would put the Iraqi army in the front, like show a presence of like basically saying, hey, they're taking over again and stuff like that. So it was towards the end of basically, I would say, because I think it was Iraqi Freedom. That was the campaign that I was in. So it was the end of that, and then basically focusing on Afghanistan. I know there was other units in Afghanistan, but they were kind of like basically when I deployed to Iraq, it was towards the end of that campaign, basically giving it back I we did 15 months. So I got stuck doing 15 months over there. And it was like, I'll be honest, man, it was like a big ass NTC training event because I think I saw two IEDs, one suicide bomber, which they had us clean her up because it was a female. And then during firefights, there was just a couple, but mainly it was between the two tribes. You know, you just they would be shooting over you. Like, we get contact over here, but they're shooting over to the other tribe over here, man. It was, you know, it was funny because when we left, you know, the last day we left to go to the green zone, which is
Right.
the battle area, you know, you just can hear them shooting each other like firefights. It was just like, wow, man. You know, it wasn't, I mean, it still sucked because you're away. You still saw a little bit, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't really anything, you know, like just a long deployment.
Yeah, I mean, 15 months is still a long ass time, dude. Like,
oh yeah, man, I was one of those
ridiculous,
guys,
dude.
Yeah, I was one of those guys because you get to take leave, you know, 12-month deployment or 15-month deployment. I took mine early, like 2 months being over there, so I didn't see my yeah, because I was a private, you know, I was a Joe, and nobody else wanted to do it. Like, Shawn, you're doing it. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, like, and, you know, I didn't see my wife at the time. You know, we were engaged. I didn't see her for a year. You know?
Yeah,
it sucked, man, and it was a
it probably
really
sucks coming back after leave.
that it goes with all the deployments, man. I think it's the hardest is coming. You know, the hardest is you know what before. I'm just going to say this: before you deploy, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You don't know what to expect. Now,
Right.
when you go on R&R, like leave from the combat zone, coming back home for a little bit for like 10, 15 days. Now it's basically, you know what, you know, you're sitting in that airport, you know what's coming, you know what you're going to be dealing with, and it's just coming all at you, man. So, you know, a lot of guys go, well, a lot of the pussies go AWOL because they don't want to do it. Oh, excuse me.
No, you're good, dude.
A lot of, you know, but that's the decision you make, man. It's just like
they're like cowards. That's what we're saying.
For me personally, when I became an NCO, it was like I'm never, you know, I cared more about my guys. You know, that mind thought when I was sitting in the airport, I was ready to get back to my guys. It wasn't when my first deployment, I was like, man, you know, this sucks. This is all blah, blah, blah. My second and third deployment, I was like, man, you know, I need to get back to my guys. I wonder what they're doing, blah, 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 blah. You know, I came in.
Hey, you know, that is something you taught me when I became an NCO was like really care about your Joes. And dude, I was always letting my soldiers like either leave early or like if there was a hard mission that I knew that they couldn't do, I'd go with them. You know what I mean? So,
but you get away with that.
What's that?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just something. It's just something I learned from you because I remember you used to always say is like I take care of my guys. And
that's number one thing, man. The NCO creed, which I still remember some of it. I'm sorry, but it's I think it's it's to you know, always place the needs of my soldiers above my own.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I live by, man. Because your soldiers are going to fight harder, and you know you're all sucking. They're going to fight harder if they got a lot of respect for you, man. And I've seen it a bunch of times where soldiers don't like their squad leader, team leader, man, and it's just it doesn't mix well with combat.
Yeah, no, I know, and a lot of people like so. My last unit, it was an aviation unit, and none of these guys have seen. They like to talk a lot of crap, like they've seen a lot of stuff, the NCOs, and then they put so much stress on their soldiers, and then like the soldiers just don't want to work for the NCOs, and it's like, dude, stop trying to act like you're something you're not, and let's just get through whatever field problem we got to get through, or like, because I remember, I didn't tell you, but I told McNeil, I was a medical NCOC, and I had to lead a convoy because none of these guys have ever led a convoy before, and I'm like, shit, my boys taught me how to freaking do a convoy. I could do it. Yeah, and so yeah, it sucked, dude. Like it really does suck being in a unit where people think they're this person, but they're really not, you know. And
but you know what, man? That's it. Just goes to show you, dude, because that was other NCOs, right? I mean,
yeah, it just goes to show that like people think they're better than everybody else, and
they're
they don't
not.
show. It just like the thing is like you just gotta show that you give a fuck, right? Like just
Well,
show that you care,
yeah.
you know?
Well, that reminds me of that one squad leader that we had. We did room clearing, and he was all. I think I was. I don't know if I was part of his team or somebody was in it, but he was like he had no combat uh, experience. I think he came from a different MOS. And I remember talking with this guy. He's like, "Don't worry, man." He's telling these guys, like, "Don't worry, guys. I read Door to Door. It's a Navy SEALs book." I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like, and so like, I was like, "Okay, let's see how this door to door goes." And then next thing you know, Sergeant Major's yelling at his ass because he didn't know how to, move his team through a fucking building and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, "Yeah, how'd that door to door go, man?" I'm just, yeah. And go ahead.
No, you're good, man. Like I completely agree with you.
There's going to be NCO there. I'm sure
there's gonna be leaders everywhere like that.
Yeah. I mean, even when I'm out right now, there's still people in leadership positions that that act like that. But you got to learn to take care of yourself and take care of your own dudes. I mean,
exactly. So you get back from Iraq, what 2008, late 2008 or early 2008?
I think it was like late 2008.
Okay, and you're still with the Rockasants at this time?
Oh yeah. Roxxons. Standard. I love the Roxxons 3187. That's where I came from, 101st, man. We have a standard for everything.
Yeah, they have a rich history. They have a rich history.
Oh yeah, man.
Hey, did you go to air assault school when you came back or what?
Yeah, it was, man. It was.
What was air assault school like? Do you remember?
I mean, it's basically with any school in the military. I mean, they kind of just, see if you can follow instructions and, attention to detail. And, I'm not saying all, I'm just saying most. But, I mean, it was more about that, just making sure you can, pay attention to detail and all this other stuff. Because they tell you to do an obstacle one way. Like, you're going to do the obstacle this way. And you do it another way because you're He-Man. They're like, get your ass and do it again or you get kicked out, dude. Like, I mean, they were real. And like every time you ran, like every time you left foot hits the ground, you got to say air assault, dude. It was like air assault, air assault, air assault, air assault. And then I just, take a deep breath. Air assault. And then like if one of the cadres caught you do that, be like, what the fuck? I'm like, oh shit, air assault. Like fucking, and it's just,
a dumb army school.
Yeah, but it was good to have, man. I mean, I loved it, dude. It was something to put on.
Yeah.
I mean, I was 101st Airborne. I got to have an air assault, That's what we are. So
yeah, we're talking about old Abe, the Eagle, the screaming chicken.
Yep, that's what they usually call
it. So now we're gonna take a big turn in Shawn's life where he went and deployed to Afghanistan. So Afghanistan was rough.
Yeah, that was
hardest deployment you've been on.
Yeah, that's when it was, I had Iraq, and then I was expecting, I knew it was going to be worse than Iraq, but I didn't think it was going to be that, what it was.
Right.
And that's when it was like, I guess what they would say, popping your cherry. But I mean, it was, when I deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan, I was I was basically a team leader, so I was in charge of guys.
As a specialist, you were?
Yeah. I was basically, when I got back from Iraq, they were asking who wants to be a team leader out of all the new guys that came with me that, whatever. And I was like, fuck, I'll do it. And, the platoon sergeant liked it. I did an exercise, whatever. And then he put me into with a squad leader.
Right.
He's like a tall Samoan. He didn't like the joke, but he trained me to what he wanted. But anyway, yeah, Afghanistan, man, was it was a different change from Iraq.
And where did you go in Afghanistan?
I was in Paktika province, so that's like the middle of Afghanistan towards the border of I think Iran. It's like
that's like the east, right?
Yeah. So if you're looking at so it's towards the east, towards Iran.
It's like it's north of Kandahar, right?
Yeah. So it's north of Kandahar, south of Bagram.
Was that in the mountains or no?
Yeah, I mean, it was somewhat in the mountains, but I mean, it was you know, I didn't get the, you know, it was just, I'm trying to, it was somewhat mountains and then just open desert, man.
Right.
It
So
wasn't, I'm sorry.
no, you're good, dude. So was it like, where were you at? Like, were you on a combat operating post? Were you on a
Yeah. So,
fob?
so we
Or were
were
you on
on
an
a,
OP?
yeah, so we were on a platoon, 40 men, 40 guys in a patrol base out in the middle of
Okay.
fucking nowhere.
Yeah.
The closest element that we had was probably about, I don't know, 10 miles away. But I mean, we were 40 guys, and then we had a group of A&A or Afghan Army guys with their compound with us. So it was basically us out in the desert in front of a village. So you had the village, and then you had our compound right there.
Right.
So
And what was it? What did you guys get in the middle of fighting season? So if people don't know, fighting season is like
oh
in the summer.
yeah, so they say that it's during the summertime it starts getting hot. That's when fire, that's when they want to fight, and then wintertime. That's basically they'll leave like their high school kids there, the younger unexperienced guys there, and whatever. But it's too cold. You'll know when you start getting a firefight when it's summertime because you'll be like, man, these guys are starting to get good, But I mean, yeah, man, it was tough, dude. We were getting in firefights like every day to the point where it was like getting a firefight, like it's like the first time it happened, it was like yeah, doing our shit, and then next time, like after the 40th one, it's just like, hey man, you going to the gym today? Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to work out, calves and just shit like that, dude. It was just, that's how we were, man. We were so used to it, and it was just like
Yeah.
most of us were like saying, if it's our time to go, it's our time to go. Fuck it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us experience like, hey, we need that because we get more. What's the word I'm looking for? We get more brazen, right? So we're
Yeah.
starting to. We're like, oh, we don't really. I'm not gonna wear all that, or I don't really care, or start
Yeah.
doing some more like ballsy stuff. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think that comes with the territory. You know?
Yeah. It's, I think it was, I wouldn't say we didn't get complacent with it because it
Yeah,
was happening
absolutely.
every day.
Yeah.
We had, especially me being a leader, I made sure my guys weren't complacent,
Uh-huh.
because that's the worst enemy over there is complacency.
Right.
You get complacent, like getting used to not getting hit or driving somewhere and lowering your security. That's when people start getting,
Yeah.
and from the deployment I went with you, how complacency can really hurt. Just like in an instance, we're so used to the Emmy doing one thing, and then they do something different. And it's kind of like, something's coming up, and then you get the orders to go over there, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's just a big ass ambush. This is just complacency, dude. Like,
Yeah. When did you because you told me you got like Battlefield promoted. When did that happen? I was telling my wife about it, and she's like, I can't believe he was Battle. I was like, yeah, dude. He's one of those few guys that got
so
promoted on the battlefield, dude.
yeah, man. I was on a platoon slash COB, dude. So we're already about 6 months into that 12-month deployment, and they're like, yeah, hey, Sergeant Major's just coming to the platoon, and he's gonna, they're gonna have like an op board, which is like basically you stand in front of like all your leadership, and they ask you questions about the next rank or stuff like that, and the is basically a big test to see if you are an NCO. So I'm like, oh fuck, dude, we're over here and I'm getting shot at, and they expect me to study this shit because I was still a meathead, man. But like I said, I didn't know how to spell refrigerator, but I knew how to do my damn job. So I'm sitting there like, yeah, you got to do this, and so I'm sitting here, didn't even get any sleep, man, studying all this NCO stuff just because Sergeant Major was coming in the morning, dude. And so next thing you know, it's the next morning, dude, and I have my only clean fucking uniform that, basically I was going to wear to go back home with. And everything's nice and neat. And he Sergeant Major pulls me aside, pulls two of us aside, because it was two of us that were going to go through this board. And he was like, how you guys doing? It's like, yeah, I'm doing good, Sergeant Major. Just there's a lot of shit to go. I just said that. I was just you at that point where you try to remain professional, and you're just like, a lot of shit's been going on, Sergeant Major, but we get through it. And he's like, yeah, I heard. He's like, I heard good things about y'all. I was like, yeah. It's like, yeah. He's like, let me see that specialist rank. And I was like, oh, here you go, Sergeant Major. And he's like, he puts my sergeant rank on and he hits my chest. He's like, congratulations, and like shakes my hand and then shakes the other hand. And I wasn't even excited about the damn rank. I was like, so you telling me I had to fucking go sleep to study and you just slap the rank? I was like, okay. Because I was basically already a NCO, man. Like, my guys already respected me a lot.
Yeah.
They didn't see a specialist. They saw, they trusted me. So I was like, okay. I was like, thanks, Sergeant Major. Shook his hand, and and then he was off, man. He flew off in the bird. I'm like, oh, okay, and never saw him again until we got back home.
Yeah.
But,
How was so you guys were getting in firefights nearly every day? Like, was there a time that like the fire, like they always call it a tick or whatever, and was there a time there was an extended period of time, like maybe like the whole day or something?
no, usually, I mean, it would, huh?
No,
It would just happen periodically, but I mean, sometimes it would have, there was a course through months where it was happening like towards the end of the day.
Uh-huh.
And it was, I don't know if it was like cat and mouse. They wanted to play cat and mouse where they shot, we shot, called in the birds, mortars and all that. And then they stopped and then whatever. But I mean, it was, once everything got done, you had to send out an element to check and make sure everything was good because, but, I mean, it was, the only thing I could say, man, is it was just part of life. It's just, you saw some shit. I mean, it's like for us, it's you're in that stressful situation and all that pressure, man. You really don't have time to analyze stuff. You go muscle memory and you basically move forward with the next thing, and then so I mean, that was how it went, man. And plus being in a leadership position, man, you can't sit there and show weak. I would say just show weakness, because you got, especially in a team, you got 4 other guys looking up to you. If they see you break down, they're going to break down. So I had to keep my composure, man, to set the example for those guys and then be there for those guys, because especially with the 3rd deployment, man, I started deployment, the 2nd deployment, the Afghanistan, seeing these guys when shit happened, man, just their faces, because they're brand new. This is their 1st deployment. To me, it's my 2nd. I knew what was going to happen, and it's just looking in their faces, dude. And it's just like, all right, man, cool down, let's do this, let's do that. It's all right. Just being there for them. I worried less about me, and my mental, I was like, fuck that. I got to worry about my dudes. I took being an NCO serious, man, because, I'm very passionate about that. Like, and it follows me when I got out. But anyway, yeah, I mean,
it's just it's man, being I wasn't a leader obviously when I was in a leadership role when I got deployed with when we did our deployment, but I understand, like, sometimes there's no coping, there's no, like you said, analyzing. You just gotta, because we still have to do the mission, right? Like, we lose somebody, we still have to continue to do whatever we're doing too, and it's really hard, because then, like, you go on your day about it and it's still in your head and you're just like, what do we do?
Yeah, that's why you have to have good leadership, man. Because especially guys who experience for the first time, man. Like, my 1st deployment was, even though there was not a lot of action, dude, my first time seeing an actual dead body was when we had to pick. They had us privates pick up the pieces of the suicide bomber, you know. And at that time, I mean, it hits you, you know, like it doesn't hit you. You're just doing what you're told, and then like you know, it's just demonetized. You're desensitized when you're around all that stuff all the time, and so you know. That's why they say us veterans, you know, called combat veterans, have a sick sense of humor. Because it's like, you know, we laugh at the wrong time. I don't know. It's just a lot of the guys whose combat, you know, or you know, MOSs, they'll know what I'm talking about because it's just
And I think it's a little bit I don't want to say that I'm dehumanizing or anybody or being not being sensitive towards certain things, but like when we were in Afghanistan together, like seeing dead Afghans or anything like that didn't really bother me, I guess you could say, or it didn't really hit me as much as like when our own dudes.
Oh yeah, man.
You know,
yeah, they're but you got to look. I read parts of the Quran. Just I wanted to study what I was shooting at, you know, just to get. I know it's kind of twisted, but I wanted to have respect on my enemy who I was shooting at, you know. So I read a little bit and see what they're all about, man. Not everybody over there was bad, you know.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you know, they were thinking the same thing. I mean, even the deployment we went to, man, we killed one of their guys. They were retaliated. They killed one of our guys. We retaliated. We were the same when it came to that mentality, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of go ahead.
And I think that's the big thing why when we talked about like am I really proud of the mission and everything like that. I mean, like I would say it's like a 50-50, but I'm proud with you guys. Like you guys are you know what I mean? Like those that's what I care about, you know.
I definitely agree. I'm proud of the guys that I served with. Am I proud of, you know, the political side with the mission? Like I mean, I knew what I was getting myself into when I signed that dotted line, you know, but there's prime examples when we were over there, you know, our last deployment together when we were setting up, you know, helping you know, like I said, the further away that you got from Kabul, which was all westernized, you know, you had women not covered up or whatever, they're going to college and everything. So the further you got away from Kabul, the more pro-Taliban it was. So like where we were at, they were all about Taliban. So you know, one of our missions, I think the you know was provide governments and help the Afghan people. You know, so you know we built the local police station and everything, and you know it took us like 4 days or whatever pulling security and all that, and then next thing you know we're looking on the camera because we had that big giant blimp that sees all the way around our hill. And when I'm shit you not, man, I may be exaggerating. It's been too long, but it hadn't even been like 8 hours, and you got the locals tearing it down.
Yeah, I remember.
So I'm like, oh, that's our that was our mission statement right there, helping them out. But we all knew, man. I mean, I don't care who you were. We all knew that, you know, we were basically over there for to, you know, do our time and then leave. You know, for me, that's what I did my time, but I you know, my main goal was getting my guys home safe.
Yeah.
You know, that was my mission. I would give two shits of what the battalion mission was to provide governments. No, my mission was getting my soldiers home and doing the best that I can do as a leader and providing them mentor and guidance and getting them out of that the fucking hellhole. But I mean, I think we had a pretty good, you know, I'm going to compliment Lieutenant Ryan, man. It is one of the best lieutenants I ever had. And
shout out Jack Ryan. Shout out.
Yeah. Yeah. Real smart, man. I mean, if you look at that deployment, first platoon had no casualties. You know, and that's and the methods.
We only had one IED.
But the methods that we used with the dozer, and it took us long to get the objective, but we were not route clearance would clear the route and get fucked up and blown up. But our method, we were going sometimes the same route as route clearance, man. We were picking up with that dozer like 6 or 7 IEDs just hanging off, and they were like, I remember whoever was driving, like, yeah, I got
it was Bear.
Yeah, Bear, and he's like, and they're like, they got like 6 of them hanging on the thing, and then you got EOD had the explosive team guys had to like take them off. But I mean, we had no casualties, dude, and I was just like, that's what happens when you have good leadership, man. And sometimes you can have good leadership and you do have casualties, man. But I mean, we were fortunate to have a good pool of leaders, and NCOs, and then our lieutenant, because lieutenant means everything, dude. He's sorry.
No, you're good, dude. I was gonna get into the deployment with us, like, so you get out of Afghanistan 1 in what, like 2009, 2010, or what? Your first time
like
over there?
2010, 9. I don't know, man. It's
how much time did you spend back before you went to Fort Bliss?
I probably was about 4 months, and then I got orders.
BCS.
Yeah, I got orders. They told me I had orders. I can terminate my orders, or I can just stay with them. Yeah. And the squad leader took me aside. And he's like, "Look, man, hey, the grass could be greener on the other side." I'm like, "Okay, but I really like the 101st." But I was like, "Okay." So I pushed, and I basically got orders to go to El Paso 1180. I went from light infantry, flying in helicopters, to a mission to where we surprised them when they're eating lunch, to mechanized, where it took us 12 hours and they literally saw us out in the distance and took time to eat lunch and then leave, but I went mechanized. So it was 3 of us. I forgot if they were in the same brigade, or I think they were in the same battalion. It's 3187, rock. I don't know if they were all Rocketsons or it was just 3 of us. It's been a long time, but we get and it's totally different. You come from 101st to 1180. 1180 was at the time was a tanker unit, and then they started making it into a line unit. So they were taking 101st, 10th Mountain, all these guys, and making it into infantry unit. And
I remember.
We get there. I just remember driving in the car, and one of us is driving because we're NCOs, so we get to drive to our stuff to get do our paperwork and stuff like that. So I'm just watching this during PT time, dude. And I just remember coming from Fort Campbell, man. It was just like, you had like these meathead guys running, but good. You had the first sergeant like knocking the fallouts, like he's like, move out of the way. And the fat guy's like, and the first one just knocks him down. I'm like, and then I come into, El Paso was like, come on, Jimmy. You can do it. I'm just sitting there like everybody was like, I'm not saying, I saw more overweight people, and I'm just like, okay, all right, maybe this is just the Pope side of things, the personnel other than grunts side of the base. Maybe I'll go to infantry. So we get there, and Sergeant Beatles is there with all the other platoon sergeants, and he's pretty fit. And I was like, okay, now we're in infantry territory. Like Sergeant Beatles is looking me up and down, looking all. He's like, "What's your PT score?" I was like, "Oh, I was a pretty big dude, and I was like 220, but I had like a 300 because he's like, all right, you come with me." I'm like, okay, cool, man. So that's how Beatles picked me in Paris. He picked me in Paris, and then the other guy went to the 3rd platoon.
Did you and Paris deploy together or no?
No, we did deploy. I think we didn't deploy together at Fort Campbell.
Not with that Fort Campbell.
No, we. But the thing is, it's just we both thought the same thing when we got the 1180. Like, okay, all right.
I think another thing too. I think this is when the Army started getting like real soft, because when I was an AIT, man, like, so I mean, I'm from San Antonio, and I mean, we were playing football in the heat, and then like I'm over here, like it's 90 degrees, and we're fucking stopping training because they said it's too hot. And I'm
Yeah,
like, dude, I was like, dude, what the hell is going on, dude? Like, it's not gonna be cold in freaking Afghanistan. Like, they're not gonna stop. Oh shit, dude, it's 100 degrees. Let's stop. You know?
they tried doing that shit with y'all, and when we were starting to train up for our deployment, you know, and we
Yeah.
did road marches. It was like, well, let them carry their weapons, just their weapons. I'm sitting there like, bitch, 101st, we were carrying everything.
Yeah.
And doing a road march to get used to the weight, especially being in El Paso, the high altitude and everything. Perfect situation, man. But they were like, no, we don't want them to overheat and all that, man. I was like, dude, you got to get them prepared for that, the physical challenge, dude, because it's because especially with us that just got back from Afghanistan, man, we're like, yeah, man, you need to carry more than just your weapon, dude, on a road march, you know.
Yeah,
it's
dude. Yeah,
just
when
little things like that, man. When we were starting to train up, you know, I kind of had a problem with, but you know, we had a good platoon, so you know, Sergeant Beatles and our lieutenant, they knew, man. They just
when I got to you guys, I just got out of basic training, so I got to the unit in September. We left December, and I was telling McNeil, I like December 10th when we left. That's when I got over to you guys.
Yeah.
Like that day, and I remember the first patrol we went on. I was freaking smoked, dude. Like
I know, I was looking at I was like, "Man, who's this guy?" No, I'm just joking with it. No, I forgot, man. So I thought, what happened to our medic?
Yeah. So around December 9th, December 10th, that's when we were gonna leave. Right, that was main body 1.
Yeah.
And so I get a call like December 9th around like 11 o'clock in the morning. And I'm not gonna put the guy's business out there. I just said that my senior line medic at the time, he said, "Hey, that guy can't go, so you're gonna move over to 1st Platoon Charlie Company tomorrow. You're gonna manifest with them, and then you're gonna go deploy with them." And I was like, "Where are they going?" I didn't even know, dude. I thought I was gonna be in HSC, and I had no idea. I didn't know.
Playing video games.
Yeah, I had no idea what we were doing, dude. I was like, hey, I will do my B bag. Like, I already packed my B bag with HAC. Like, I had no idea what to do. Like, I was just like,
I think you did good, man.
I appreciate that, dude. I really do.
I think you did an outstanding job, dude. Go ahead. I'm just letting you go.
And so then he told me that day, and that's when I integrated with you guys. And my first interaction with anybody was Hamilton.
Yeah.
Because he was weapon squad leader. Yeah. That shit was funny.
Yeah.
He's like, damn, Doc, you fucking little cherry.
I first met Hamilton, dude. I met Hamilton and McNeil because they were a duo, you know, like, you know, McNeil would say something, and Hamilton would be like, "Shut up, pink bitch," you know, like fucking. And remember, Hamilton was eyeing me when we were going out to a training event, and you know, this is my first time as an NCO going out to training, and I have my helmet on, and I just see Hamilton. Hamilton keeps on looking over at me, and then he say some smart ass shit. And I'm just saying, like, "You're a smart ass, aren't you?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm sure." Blah, blah. And I'm like, "Oh, you motherfucker." I was like, "But I love him, dude. He was. I
love Hamilton too. Shout out First Sergeant.
him and McNeil, man, as a duo, it's just hilarious, man. It's just like McNeil would say something, and it's just be like, I just hear Hamilton like, "Pink bitch," you know, because he would like get all pink, you know, embarrassed and shit, you know. And
yeah. I didn't get to go to NTC. Yeah, I didn't get to go to NTC with you guys or anything. And
you went with that training that we went to where it was like real actors, like real. I don't know. You didn't.
No, I didn't. I didn't go to any training.
It was in New Mexico. It was the best training I ever got, other than JRCC. And they actually hired actual actors that spoke the Pashtu, the language over there. Like, it's not Arabic, but there's different languages like Pashtu and Dari. They actually had actors speaking that. I just remember, if you know Sergeant Cicado, man, he was like a short little man syndrome dude with like, you know, like this. We're in a crowd, and all the crowd's getting up close to us because something happened in a situation. And we're in a training event, but we treat it like as a real situation. There's a crowd and everything. I just remember there's a woman that went up to Sergeant Cicado and was like, "Don't you touch me!" He like shoved her aside, and then you hear the crowd like, "Ah," and then it's like complete silence when he shoved the girl, and then all of a sudden it's like, because you don't do that. You don't even put your hands on the woman, and they're all like, oh, it's like, Sergeant Gato, you just pissed them off, man. We failed. I mean, pretty much, because it's just like, they don't, over there in their culture, you don't, he didn't, he like gently, pushed her out of the way, but like, you don't, in their culture, that's a sign of disrespect, especially with a woman. And it was, they treated it, that whole training event was outstanding, man. I don't know. Like
he's coming on next. Actually, it's gonna be like a 2-part. It's gonna be like a 2-part episode.
Where are you having it at? Like,
no,
pitch black. Like, hey, where are you? So, I can't tell you. Like,
no, we talked on the phone. I think like 3 days ago for like an hour, and I was like, this could be a 2-parter. I mean, he was in the invasion.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this. He's probably gonna have like a big ass knife in front of him or something, and like a cigar in the back or something, dude. Something to make him look, I just know him, dude. He's gonna have like his whole like, I can't wait, man.
He's gonna, So let's get up to the deployment, man. Like when you found out we were going to RC South, like what did you think? It wasn't RC East, obviously. Two different areas.
I just knew Kandahar was the shit. It was, like, with the Marines that had trouble with it, and just over, even in 101st, you hear Kandahar. So I knew we were getting in some shit. Every deployment's different, but when you're on your third deployment, you kind of know like the mindset and how to get yourself into it. Well, the challenging is getting your guys who are brand new to a deployment, especially in an NCO, and getting them in the mindset, because they don't know what's coming. I knew fucking what was coming because they were talking about it. I was like, yep, here we go again. So,
and, Kandahar is the major capital over there.
So you got it's Kabul. Well, it's a major province. Like so you got Kandahar and Bagram. They're the two main. They're also the province, but they're also the two main bases. The Kandahar, two main big ass bases, which is Bagram and Kandahar.
Yeah, we were in the May 1 province together. So, I remember when I got to you guys too. I worked out with you and stuff. That shit's funny.
Oh yeah, man. Hey, everybody knows workout helps, man.
So when we were on our deployment and everything like that, what were you expecting? Like, were you expecting us to, like, we got in our first firefight in January, right?
Yeah, I was expecting, as soon as we got to our AO area of operations, I was expecting shit to happen as soon as we stepped up that wire, and which it did.
Yeah.
Our first time outside that wire, they were talking about when we first got there and we were doing let's see, right seat, basically doing shadowing the unit that's over there right now and seeing what they do, and then basically we slowly take over their AO, their area operations. They were saying, well, there's this line, this imaginary line. If you cross it, you're going to get shot at. And we'll get, our first actual patrol out there, we went out there and we got shot. I knew, man. I was focused on getting my team ready. And whoever wanted to fucking listen to me, I was focused on that.
Yeah, our first firefight together, it honestly, I was shocked. I didn't really know what to do, honestly. And I feel like you kind of got overtaken by another NCO was there, because I think you would have told us all to shoot back. A lot of us we didn't even shoot back, dude. Like,
well, the thing was with that, man, nobody knew where it was coming from. It was a sniper. So what I remember, we were walking, we get shot. It was pop shots. Remember, they were testing us. There was a biker dude out in the distance. He came close and he went back. It was just like things didn't look well, or things didn't look right, man. It's just little things that you could pick up. And then all of a sudden there was a pop shot, pop, and then pop. And then all of a sudden, it's, your first muscle memory is get down and find cover, man. And so when that pop happened, man, that round went, because I was a big fucking target. So the round, it was right there by the foot, like close to my foot. I'm like, shit. I jump in the hole that was next to me, man. I'm like, shit, which is, I wouldn't have done. I mean, it was the only cover I had, but it was probably rigged. But at that time, man, it's just muscle memory. It's like, fuck this. I'm not going to, he's already got me. He's spotting me, dude. And then it's just like, I think the problem was what we were taught was, don't shoot until until you get
positive
PID.
identification.
Yeah. Whatever. And it's just sitting there like, I mean, shit, show some kind of force. I mean, but like anybody can. It's like I said, you always had that moment during every deployment to where you realize, oh shit, this shit's real. And that was our moment. A lot of guys, we go to the green zone, we're joking around, bullshitting, ha ha ha, and then we get to our area of operations, we'll still bullshitting, ha ha ha, and then it takes that one moment to be like, oh shit, this is real.
Yeah.
But like I was trying to get my guys to not think like that. I was trying to get them ready to be like, oh shit, he was right. Like not, I was expecting it.
There wasn't that many of us that day.
Huh?
And you're talking about that little building we were at, right? There was only like 6 or 7 of us there.
Yeah. It's like I said, man, I knew shit just with all the past deployments I've been to, just looking at the signs. I remember, I don't know if I told them, like, I was like, be ready, guys, because I was like, I saw that bike, dude, and I was focused, man. I was like, because it was our first time being out. I had a dip in my mouth. I'm like, here we go, bitch. I see a fucking biker. I'm like, yep, there's a sign. He comes back. And I'm just waiting because they wanted to cross that invisible line, man. So
dude, I remember you were getting amped up that day, dude.
Yeah, I knew, dude. If you talk to anybody that has experience with past deployments, dude, they're the same signs show and it's just a feeling, man. And I knew we were going to get shot at, and it's just, and I just, like, as an NCO, I just wanted my guys to be prepared and be ready,
Yeah, I know I wasn't in your team or anything, but I was happy you were there.
Yeah,
because dude, I had to carry the fucking someone's sniper rifle. That shit sucked.
Yeah, it's probably Thomas. It was probably his weapon. Carry my weapon. Yeah.
I'll never forget when the fight happened.
Yeah.
I got down, and our boy Gunner Franks, dude. No. He's over there, like freaking he's right there by the wall, and he's just like smoking. And I'm like, Franks, what the fuck are you doing? And then we had to bound back, and dude, I totally spaced out because I was really focused. We were getting shot out pretty good, and
well,
I can't even remember. I was like, what the hell is bounding, dude?
The trucks. That was Sergeant Roberts, man. He got those trucks. I talked to him after that situation. He was like, yeah, I got those trucks up there quick, dude, because those 50 cals and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they were running over it. I was like, after that moment, man, I knew just how everything played out. It may have not looked, I thought it looked good for first time action, dude. How the trucks got their asses over there. The NCO who was in charge of the trucks got those trucks there to provide cover fire for us, and then just get us to go back into, everything was smooth. But anything that you do, man, you can always like, if you're just sitting back, you can always analyze something. Well, we could have done this better and that, and
right.
It's just the best thing you can do is just have that mentality of you're going to get shot at. Yeah. Something's going to fucking happen. Every time you go outside this, that's why I used to preach to the dudes. I was like, every time you go outside this wire, just know something's fucking going to happen. So that way you're in the mindset, dude. That's how you guys.
Were you on that mission with us when we had to run like 400 meters and that dude got shot in the motor tube?
Oh. It's been so long, dude. I know.
Yeah.
There was.
It's been so many times. Like things are getting like kind of like pushed together,
Yeah, I tell you something, man. My last deployment, or the 101st Airborne deployment that I did with. I'm sorry, the second deployment in Afghanistan with the 101st. We did a mission to where, we were light infantry. It was at nighttime, and we had the radio. We had the interpreter with us at night. We had our lights on and everything, and basically it was in a big fishbowl. So we were on the bottom of the fishbowl. Basically, you had ridges all the way around, and then you had, they could see us down with our lights in the truck and the distance and everything. So they had these special radios where we could intersect their radio signals so we could hear what they were saying.
Yeah.
So one of the missions that we did, or the first time we did this was pretty badass, is that we turned off all our lights. So we had an element. So we had 5 trucks with a squad and weapon squad. And basically, or was that I don't remember, but it was pretty cool, man. It was like slowly, so the trucks are all spaced out. You can see them. The lights are on. It's dark. They're talking. Yeah, we see them. They're driving and everything. All of a sudden, we turn off all our lights in our truck. Where the fuck? Because there's no moon. It's pitch fucking black. They're like, where are they? Where are they? And we start slowing down our convoy to where we lower the ramp. I don't know if that was us. See, everything's getting mixed up together. But
yeah, I remember.
They lower the ramp, and then we all slowly get out, of our trucks and push out to where we were going to flank them up on the ridge line. And then once everybody was out, the walking unit, going flanking them, the truck unit turned on their lights, and then all of a sudden they're all focused on those trucks, and then we were over here sneaking up behind them. I mean, that was fucking ass, man. Like, I did just like airborne, man, air assault. We did some crazy ass mission with Chinooks, which are the 2-bladed helicopters, huge. You could fit like 120, 100 or I don't know, like
a shit ton of people, dude.
Yeah. So what we had was like I said, we surprised these guys at lunchtime. We flew in, so we had Apaches and those helicopters. We came in, dude, and we had A&A with us, and they would be on motorcycle back. So we're in the Chinook, and we're like riding like this in the Chinook, and then in the middle of the Chinook, in the area, you had like 3 A&A guys on motorcycles just sitting there ready. As soon as we flew in, those ramps came down, and those motorcycle guys, the A&A, just drove off while we were going out the sides and fucking basically maneuvering to where we needed to go. And then those A&A guys were going to all the exits and entrance of the village, dude. It was just so fucking badass.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then I went to mechanized, which is 12-hour, 8-hour
convoys.
Our objective. And it's like the whole village is cleared out. Like they were here. I'm like, you think?
Yeah. The mission started going slower though too,
Yeah, I mean, because of dismounted IEDs, they took me to a training course to train the company, which I loved. But they were wanting to use that method of the maneuver where we would basically have a guy up front with a metal detector and just clearing that one path. But I wanted to be like, well, you don't have to do that all the fucking time. You just do it on certain times. Like if you're not going to move like that, there's a village right here with a bunch of kids, and because they were, you had to have an idea of what the AO was all about.
The EOD team we had was pretty stellar too.
Yeah, they were good, man.
I don't that story you were talking about where the ramps went down. I really don't remember. I don't know if that was us or not, but I do remember. I do remember going out at night with you.
Yeah.
On something like that, something similar like that, but I can't remember exactly. Hopefully, somebody I can get on can remember something. So,
but
hey, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna just say, hey, like we get done with our 9-month deployment, and when do you during that time or? When were you like, I can't do this no more? Like, I'm fucking done.
Oh, my. When I got back, it was basically I wanted to start a family. I want to have a kid. It was already 8 years. I was already in 8 years in my next reenlistment, which would be basically in the long run. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get out, and I didn't want to put that stress on my wife, especially when she was, pregnant. So I got out. Do I wish I went? Do I wish I made that decision? Now that I look at it, everything happens for a reason. I mean, I'm very religious, but some part of me wish I would have stayed in, man. It's not the same. Not the same.
I don't think you, but like since I know you, I don't know if you would have liked how the Army's direction happened. You know, at the very end of the tenure, there was a lot of
Yeah,
weird shit going on, dude. Like, because I mean, I got out in 2020, and so I got out 6 years later when
yeah,
you got out, and that 6 years, it was a huge change,
yeah. I
huge
bet, man.
change.
Like I said, I
I mean,
lost
shit,
track.
we went through 3 different freaking uniforms, you know.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but that sounds
Yeah,
like something the military would do.
yeah. But I understand what you're talking about because like I think about it now. In 6 years I'd have been done.
Yeah, it,
But
it
I'm
was.
like you. I'm like you because I thought about my daughter, you know,
Yeah,
and I'm just like I can't do this forever, you know.
I just at that time, man, it was just time for me to get out, man, because I did. It was just every deployment. It was just like no rest, man. It was just like boom, 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 and it was my third. I mean, I'm not. Other guys do 4, 5, 6 deployments, man, but it was just for me. It was like, my wife knows the drill every time I deployed, but she's deploying with me every time I did. Just the
Yeah.
stress, you know, and I barely
Well,
called her too because I wanted,
I
I
remember.
kept, yeah, I told my guy, you need to keep your head in the game because because I told my wife, I'm only calling you maybe once or twice a week. That's it. Because I had
Yeah.
to focus on my guys and the mission, dude. And that's how it was until we were getting ready to leave. And then I was calling her every day.
Yeah. What what would you say like the most challenging thing was when you came back? Did you struggle with anything or
I
not
struggled.
getting out yet, but I'm talking about like
Uh,
when we came back from the deployment, you know? Or were you
I
just
just,
happy to be back?
no, I just, well, that happy to be back, but just, I don't know, I just wanted to, because I was just mainly focused on getting out, dude. Because I knew once we got back, I was just like, because my ETS date was coming up 3 months, and I was like, I just was on that mindset of getting out, getting my shit ready to go and shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I
And
was,
obviously at the time we're like, man, fuck this shit. Let's get out.
oh yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
they're like, well, have fun, So I remember first sergeant. I don't know if it was, they all, the higher ups, they joke around like, oh, have fun working at Pizza Hut. I'm like, oh, have fun doing the gay shit. But, I was like, I don't give a shit, dude. I didn't have a plan when I got out. That was my problem. I just thought, you know, everything would happen, just fall into place, man. I got out. It was just like, it took me a while to,
You know, I
so
think
everybody,
that's why a lot of guys struggle because we have a purpose, we have a
yeah.
mission, and we have the brotherhood. But then like you get out and it's just like,
You're like fucking Rambo, dude. It's like I got all this training and I'm not using it. The only
yeah,
time I use it is when I'm going Nerf gun with my kid and doing military tactics with kids with laser guns and Nerf guns. Like, don't
yeah,
worry, Aaron. I'm taking like a whole squad of kids out, and then I have to my wife's like, "Hey, Shawn, you need to get out of there." Like, I got all this op stuff on my Nerf gun. I got into Nerf guns with my son, but
yeah.
just
But
stuff like that, man. You're just, I feel, and it's
that's
with
when you got
everybody.
out, right? Like it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, man. I mean, that's the only because when the one question you were talking about, I wasn't really focusing on. I didn't find anything difficult. I was just excited about getting out. Like I was
Yeah,
like, my wife's pregnant, getting her, getting my kid. All this blah 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 blah. It starts to hit you when you get out. That
yeah.
I'm sorry, those higher ups were right. You're gonna miss us. I'm like, no, I'm not. And then next thing you know, I'm like, I miss you, man. I miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think our scenario is different though, because like there's some people that just do 4 years, they don't deploy overseas, you
Oh
know.
yeah, I
Their,
mean,
their their life is not really in jeopardy, and so they get out no problem, you know. Like they're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and I'm like, dude,
I met
eh,
guys like that, dude, and it's
yeah,
just I have a mentality. I got in trouble. Guy was talking. He was some Navy dude. Did 3 years of a radar technician, and he was some fat kid. And he was talking crap about the Navy and like how he got him fat. And I'm just sitting there listening to this shit because he's talking to a guy that's ignorant with the military, doesn't know anything about it. I'm
yeah,
sitting. My NCO side comes in, it just sometimes comes out. Did you do fucking PT? This is what I said. Did you do fucking PT? He's like, no, I was on profile. I was like, that's probably why you were fucking fat. And just sitting there like, and then I blew up on this kid, and I was like, I called him a fat pussy, dude. And
yeah, I mean, so like me, I struggled a lot when we came back from the deployment, dude, because I was still paying my GI Bill in Afghanistan.
oh shit,
Yeah, dude. So imagine going from that, like what we did was badass, all this cool shit, and then like I was gonna go to the clinic, you know,
yeah.
and that's really hard to adjust to, especially as a 19-year-old. And then
Well, hell, I was
I mean,
expecting you to be on Grey's Anatomy or something, man.
nah, dude, I hate the medical field now, man. I
Yeah.
freaking but I think it's really hard, man, because like especially like us, we all did it at a young age. Like you, we had the same kind of similar thing. We deployed right away, and
It gets to
finding it's finding the purpose and stuff again, you know. And like me, I gained a shit ton of weight at one point, and I'm not scared to admit it now. I did fail PT tests and I failed high weight, but it was because of like I was like, this shit sucks. Like I hate just freaking showing up to work, doing nothing, you know. And
it's a different beast, man.
Yeah.
You're I mean, all I have to say, man, is you got to have three things, man: mental strength, physical strength, and some kind of faith in something. Okay, four things, and a support group.
Yeah,
I have my wife and kids. I work out. You know, I have good faith in my religion, so I'm somewhat good.
Yeah,
but I mean, that's how it is, man. I just, you know, when I got out, and you know, it's just I was always comparing my leadership to other people's leadership, and that was my biggest mistake because nobody's going to have that type of leadership, you know.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that the civilian world, they think 80 hours of a leadership class is considered outstanding, and I'm sitting there like, well, how about under pressure with bullets flying over your head, you know? But that was my main struggle, was trying to get acclimated. I hate to use that word because Thomas used that, but acclimated to the civilian life, man. Because I mean,
it's true though, you know.
Yeah, it's like I said, when I talk to y'all or get in touch with y'all, man, it makes me feel better. It makes me feel about the glory days, because I tell you guys, man, it's just I feel like a part of me, most of me, was left back with the military, man. I'm totally different than what I was, what I am now, man. Like, I mean, talking with you, you can see a little bit of how passionate I was as a leader, but you know, I don't have that passion anymore, just being in the civilian world anymore, because you know, I guess there's no point of having it, you know. I don't know. Maybe it's just my fault because, you know, I don't know.
Nah, it's not your fault, man. It's I understand completely, because there's time I find myself talking about it and I'm like, dude, I don't even know why I'm talking about this shit anymore. Like, especially like the last part of my career.
Yeah.
So like, if you were gonna give anybody advice that it was in our situation, you know, there's a lot of veterans out there that they don't want to talk about their deployments. You know, like we all lost somebody, dude. You know, we all lost. I mean, hell, we lost 6 people. Not us personally, but like we knew them. You know, and
I mean, hell, even after deployments, man, we lost guys. I mean,
that's probably really hard because they were struggling with the same shit and they just couldn't get past it, you know.
Like I said, every person is different, man. Everybody handles stuff differently. So, and it's just, if you don't have a good support group, I mean, or you know, you mentally, your you know, everything has something to do with it, man. It'll bring you down a rabbit hole and you can't get out of, man. And it's just, that's why I say, man, good support group. I got my wife and kids, so Jesus Christ, I got him too. So I don't know if you can say that on YouTube.
Hey, man, you got me too, man. Now that you have my number, dude.
Yeah, I know.
You can call, dude. I'm only 6 hours away from you, man. I could just drive over there.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, dude, like it never goes away, you know. Because even I think what really helps people like me and other people that are dealing with the same situation is just feeling not in place or out of place or whatever, is just going talking with you, doing things like this, man, because it, you know, it's like a therapy session, I guess. I'm kind of curious about, or just kind of excited about Cicado, because he's like the born identity of This is oh my god.
John Paris is gonna be on next weekend too.
The guy that I was with.
Yeah, he'll be here. He'll be on the next weekend. So
Good,
yeah,
man.
dude. Honestly,
I
I
think
just
you're
want
doing a
us
good
to.
thing, dude.
Yeah, I just want everybody to talk and like, dude. It's I hate to say it like this, but like we kind of just got to get over the hump, you know. And like you said, dude, talking it out to people that understand. I would never compare myself to you. You're like a true warrior, dude. I mean, like
Everybody, you know
100%.
what, man? I don't go with that mentality, brother, because everybody has experienced the same situation, but just differently.
Yeah.
That's one of my flaws that I got out. I was too cocky. I was like, man, I served in the fucking military. Who you talking to? It was like I told, you know, I led 4 guys, you know, I did this and that and all that, and I just had to get out of that mindset, man.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, there's people like police officers, man. They go, I don't even have the patience for it, dude. I mean, they do a lot too, and it's just, you know, different situations, but or same situation, but just differently, man. And it's just, you know, I was really headstrong with the military when I got out. I was, you know, and it took me a while to get out of that mentality and just, you know, it just basically people don't know, man. And most people are not knowledgeable about the military. They just don't know, and you can't expect people to know like what you did. And the only people that know are the people that you served with. So that's why we're talking, man.
Yeah, I kind of see this too as like some of us may think we're a little underappreciated, right?
Yeah.
And I say that like because so Vietnam happened, right? And everybody hated the Vietnam veterans for a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I guess nowadays they're preaching on TV, social media, like, "Hey, we're supporting our vets. We're supporting our vets." And what are you really doing to support like the vets? You know?
Well,
and like us, like I feel like when we talk, we're like supporting each other, you know, and that's what's gonna come down to at the end of the day. Like I didn't deploy with Cicado. I didn't even know him. I talked to him like maybe like 3 or 4 times in the Army, and I'm gonna talk to him, like, you know what I mean? Like that's something important to me, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Shawn, dude, I really appreciate this podcast, dude, or correction, the show, and I really enjoyed talking to you, man, catching up.
Yeah, you too, man.
And this has been awesome, and I really appreciate it. Do you have any questions for me or any comments or anything?
No, I mean, just what you're doing, brother, especially just with the guys that deployed with us, man, it helps out a lot. So, I mean, just, you know, keep doing what you're doing, dude. And, you know, we'll keep in contact. I appreciate it. Let me talk a little bit. I know it was all over the place, but, you know.
Some of us just got to get it out, dude.
Yeah. But it's good to see you, man. You look good. And, you know, we all have families, and, you know, we're all getting older. I mean, that's what me and Hamilton said, because I saw a picture of Hamilton, and I was like, man, you're getting old. Or like, man, we're different. He's like, yeah, we're getting old, dude. And I'm like, yeah. That's how it is, dude. But
I appreciate it, brother. Well, I thank you for the show, dude.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Later. All right. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. And if you have anybody that is in the similar situations, please send them my way. Thank you.